Okay, I know that this is a very impromptu live, but what happened was that one of my subscribers contacted me on
Okay,
Facebook.
I know that
Oops,
this is a very
sorry.
impromptu live.
And she did a very pretty Stroppel cane, and she was trying to figure out how to do a necklace with it. And she showed me the pieces that she had. She sent me some photos. And I tried to explain to her what was my idea of the best piece, the best way to put those Stroppel slices together and what to do with them. And then I realized, you know what, it's pretty hard to convey that in text, in writing. So why don't I jump real quick on a live, as my day-to-day has been completely messed up by the doctor visit. These usually wipe me off for the day. And I said it shouldn't take me too long to do and show her what I intend, what I wanted to show her that she should do. And these are all the scraps from the Sunday live, the one with the Easter. So it's not exactly the same color as she had. And I'm going to try and show you the photo as I've pulled it up, and I hope you can see. So this is pretty much what she has. So I'm going first to work real quick on reproducing those slices or similar, so I can show her how she can do a beautiful cuff using them. So the thing is that she is a beginner. She didn't start a long time ago working with polymer clay. So, and also a few days ago, I was a little bit reproached that I don't do enough videos for beginners, that most of my videos are for more advanced levels. So I said, why not do real quick a live for beginners? I know that my usual crowd is not online. And actually, let me share this on the Facebook just for people to be aware that it's going on. In just 1 second. Okay. And there we go. So I don't know if you watched my tutorial on how to do Stroppel canes. I'm demonstrating not just the way that Alice Stroppel, who came up with the technique, is doing it, but also a couple twists in it. Like, for example, using, because I'm showing both of Alice Stroppel's way, the straight one as well as the spiral one. Excuse me, and also using other colors for the wrap, not just black. So I'm going to do real quick some Stroppel. Now remember, you don't want to really squish your cane remnants if you're using cane remnants, because the whole beauty of it is exactly the little bits of design that are still left. And that is exactly what makes the beauty of the Stroppel. And as I said, of course, my colors are not Jill's colors. Hi, Lynn. Hi, Teresa. Yeah, we are all beginners in something or another. I definitely need to work myself on some new stuff, that we talked about, the application of the pouring paint techniques on polymer clay. I need more black. And yeah, I know I have a few Stroppel canes in the drawer that I'm using for making backings. Hi, Tina. For making backings for my various cuffs, but none of them, they were with different colors, so they wouldn't look a lot like Jill's Stroppel cane slices. So I thought, I have all these scraps. Why not just use them and do something similar? Because the Stroppel cane is so easy to make. It's not such a big deal. Actually, this was a little bit thin. There we go. I forgot I had because I already prepared the piece for the cuff itself, and that was a little bit thicker than this. Yeah, how did the stuff come up? Did you manage to get a good blooming? Yeah, Teresa is doing some experiments because she has the materials that I don't have. I hopefully will be able to put them on the budget for next month. Hi, Colleen. You did not try the Stroppel, Evelyn? I think that the tutorial is fairly old. It should be like 7 or 8 months ago. But you can find it. If you just, generally speaking, if you just, oh, and also if you go on my channel and you click on playlists, I kind of tried to, yeah, thank you. I kind of tried to group together various videos that would be more on the beginner or more on the advanced, and also I've grouped them a little bit on the website too, so to be easier to find. Yeah, Colleen, see, the thing is that I told you guys before, generally visit to the doctor kind of wipes me out for the rest of the day. So I hadn't really made any plans for today. I said, well, if I feel good, I'll just clay something for fun for myself, because I came back fairly tired. But then Jill messaged me on Facebook to ask me what she should do with that, with those Stroppel cane slices, because she was so happy on how pretty it had come up. And she had an idea, but I kind of convinced her to change the idea, because I think that it would look better in a different way. Yeah. Yeah, Lynn, go and check it. I'm sure that you will love it. Because the Stroppel cane is practically a fairly good beginner a technique, and you can use all those cane ends that you mess up. And you can get beautiful, including Natasha bead type style beads that you can make. I mean, seriously, I'll show you after I do this. I'll show you with one of my stacks how you can make beautiful tribal type, and not just tribal type beads. Okay, so let's take a look again at Jill's photo. So see, she kind of extended, it's not a very clear photo, I know, but she kind of extended the, she has more lines than I do, but it will be fine. I mean, the idea is the same. So the main idea is to, if you are a little bit more advanced, you can use a satin slice, but if you're not, it's fine, and you can just use a plain stamp and mica powders or acrylic paint or something. So I'm going to make these a little bit, actually no, I need to make them longer so they'll be more stripy like Jill's. Yeah, she said that. Where did you say they were? And she baked them for like an hour at 275, and they were still good to go. And I know she said she was going to do something else with them. Okay, so we have fairly stripy stuff now. All right, so the idea is, let's first try and make, because we have the cuff, which you can use the easy cuffs. Hi, Linda. Hi, hugs. We can use an easy cuffs, or you can use soda can. And like in one of Teresa Salgado's videos a couple years ago, she had an awesome idea in order to make the soda can stand still, not to start rolling and stuff. She actually filled it. That was before she came up with the easy cups. She filled it with rice. Hi, Deborah. She filled it with rice, so it was standing still. What I do when I have to do jars, I just get aluminum foil, and I'll show you in a second what I do. I make like a little sleigh for my jar. So let's say that this is the jar that I'm baking the bracelet on, okay? I put the foil in two, and for that I actually use the heavy duty foil, not the thin foil that I use for making bases. So I do this, and I showed this in a couple videos, and then I do a little turn here, and then I do a little turn here, so that when I put my jar, see, it will not roll anymore. Hey, Jill. So this is something you can do if you don't have an easy cuff. And if you don't know how to do it on a jar, I have in my review of the easy cuffs, if you look back. Hi, Ethereal Wolf Studio. What's your name, actually? I am so glad. When I did the review for the easy cuffs, I actually showed how to do bracelets on jars as well, or on another cuff that you can find at a jewelry store, Hobby Lobby, or whatever. Okay, so let's get to business. You can do this in two ways. First of all, we have to make a sheet out of these. So I'm going to try and cut them slice them fairly good. I'd go for about, I don't know how much is this, a quarter of an inch, something like that. And so I would have, these are usually 8.5, but you need to go for more like 7.5 for a thinner wrist. So, and I definitely need a new ruler. So these will go about half again, as long as they are when I'm going to do them. So I need, yeah, let me do one more just to be on the safe side. And then, remember what I was telling you, that I always use a whole bunch of wax paper, and I just get the cheaper one. But this is the best way to do something like this, because otherwise, no matter how good you clean your roller, it's going to still stick. So I'm going to create a sheet out of these. And and you'd think that they would work because they are made to resist outdoorsy temperatures and stuff. What I'm going to try is to I don't know, should I get this on top? Yeah, let me get this on top. It looks more organic. So I'm going to go backwards. And we have, so I have 5 that are approximately 1 inch. Yeah, the name is gorgeous, Sherry. And then I'm going to gently burnish them. Now, whenever you burnish between the sheets of wax paper, you want to release it from time to time, and I'm going to actually break this. I took my scissors away from here, and I'm not gonna get up to go get them. You want to release the clay from the wax paper from time to time. Of course, you can use deli paper if you want. But what you want to do is to practically make them in a nice sheet. And why the wax paper is so good, it shows you where you are, where you still need to flatten, because I don't know if you can see, but it's not sticking. It's got areas here where it's not stuck, and that shows me that it's not flat, obviously. So you can go like this until you get it thin enough to get it through the pasta machine. But don't go with it while it's still thick, because it's going to, two things will happen. Number one, it might separate from the pieces. And number two, you're going to get your pattern really distorted in the length. So you want to go very, very slowly and easily on it. And we want to go to the thickest setting, not the thinnest. And remember, we release, because if you don't release it, it gets stuck to the wax paper and it cannot move anymore. Hi, Deborah. So this area is still a little thick. And now I think I can get it through the pasta machine with a lot of care. And there we go. And now it's definitely long enough. Now, when I was trying to explain to Jill how to do the satin slice, I used the term the lifting sheet. What happens in a satin slice? Hi, Sophie. In a satin slice, you obviously have the stamp in which, or texture sheet in which you cram the clay. And then, you know, you shave the extra, and then you lift that clay with this is the lifting sheet with the other color. So what I was trying to explain to her was that she should make a satin slice on this with some gold, or just a plain stamp. Why I suggested the satin slice was because I was not suggesting to do it on the whole cuff, just in the middle. So when you're doing the stamp, then you'll have to be careful how you do the stamp, obviously. So you can either do, if you're a little bit more experienced, you can do a satin slice in little portions, you know, do a few pieces at a time, and it doesn't really have to create any kind of pattern, practically. Or you can just do a stamp, but what you do, you put it on the stamp face down. So this would be the front of your bracelet. And then you take your roller and you do it just in this area. And you will need a stamp that will leave raised lines. So we don't go in, we go out. For example, and this is why I brought these in. So I have these pieces, these were a cube stamp that I got from Michael's. And I think I posted the link somewhere. You can still get it at Michael's. It's a fairly expensive stamp, but you have 4 different textures on it, so it's pretty much worth it. But if you notice, this is a stamp, and that's exactly what I was explaining in the how to make negatives with the bake and bend. If we use this, we will get an ini. That means we will get inside prints. The leaves will go in. And what we need is for the leaves to come out. So I have the negative of it that I made with bake and bend. And this is what we need. We need a negative. So we need a stamp like this is the negative of a stamp. Whatever I would get on it, see, it will leave raised areas. And this is what you need for this. And the same would be for this. See, this is the negative. So whatever I would use on it would be raised. And this is what you need for this effect that I'm trying to achieve here. See how it is raised. So this wouldn't be good for satin slice because the areas are too wide. This would be fairly good, but as I said, let's consider that we are talking about more or less more beginner people, okay? So let's just plain take the reverse stamp. Because you saw in my tutorial on how to make negatives from stamps, it's fairly easy to make a negative. So I am going to gently put a little bit of release, and you know I always use Armor All. And always put the release on the clay, not on the stamp. Never on the stamp because it can get into crooks and nooks and crannies, and none of it might stay on the clay itself. And then I'm going to take the stamp and just do, and not even everywhere, you know, just a few here and there. See, I have a few prints here raised. You cannot see them right now very well because they are on all this patterned thing. Now feel where it ends, feel with your finger where it ends, and place it about at the end of the stamp, and give it another little push. Not a lot, just a push, so you get the raised area. And again, feel where you have it, and put it pretty much at the end, and do another one. And now we have a line of raised imprints all along the there it is, all along the Stroppel cane slices. Now I have a piece of scrap, because there was another question that I got in one of the comments was how to do a cuff that would still be a little flexible. No, the main thing about the cuff being flexible, it's the type of clay that you're using, if it's well conditioned, of course, and how thick you make the cuff. If you make it too thick, no matter how flexible the clay is, it will lose flexibility. I mean, once it cools off and you try to open it like this, it will break, definitely. But on the cups that I want to stay a little bit flexible, I usually go at most twice the thickest setting on the pasta machine. So here I don't have, this is not the thickest setting, this is a medium setting, and that will allow me to put a thinnest setting backing on this without making the cuff too thick. And now, because I want to make a nice rounded edge, watch this, how I'm going to trim it, the base. I'm going to hold the blade like this, and I'm going to go, see the blade stays on the edge of the easy cuff, but it is angled at a 45 degrees angle. This is, you wouldn't be able to do this on a jar, and this is the reason why I prefer to use this roller, not just because it's smaller and easier on my hands, but because of this, because you can do this on the jar, on the edge of the cuff, and still get a nice beveled edge. And again, this, and then the same thing for the edges. Hold the blade at a 45 degrees angle. It's easy to get the extra just by rolling the roller, but when you want some specific angled edges, this is the best way to do it. Okay, now we can place the Stroppel. Okay, did my chat just freeze? Or nobody's saying anything anymore? All right, now I'm going to go about the middle a bit. And by feeling with my hands, because when you have so much pattern, it's hard to see where it is. I'm going to feel with my hands and try to place this right in the very middle. Then cut the ends. Okay, I thought that my chat got... Oh God, I cannot see. Arlena. Hi, Arlena. Hi, Olga. Oh, yay, Australia. I'm so glad when I get people from Australia, because otherwise I don't usually get them because of the time zone difference. Okay, now once you're sure that you didn't trap any air, this is the point where now you want to come with the roller at a 45-degree angle and nicely do your beveled cuff edge and just keep going in and do the same thing for the other one. And now we can trim the excess. Yeah, it's almost 8 p.m. where I am. I'm starting to be not so talkative because I don't want to start hurting and not be able to talk anymore. That's good. And remember, Jill, this will be recorded, so if you need to go back and look, you'll be able to do that. I always set my lives on being recorded. I know. Shema says hello. Really? I guess something happened. Seriously? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness gracious. Must be very serious. Okay, so you see, if you do those cuts under those angles, you don't need to do a lot of fine finishing afterwards. This is fairly nicely finished, and whatever is not, you can always, if you have any little defects, you can always sand them. But if you notice, I didn't do it as I usually do. I left a little bit of a lip here because I want to come with the backing that I will make gold and bring it over here a little bit. All right, now, because we have this, and this is what I was trying to tell Jill to make. Let me grab a gold mica. Whisper, go away. I don't need you. I don't need you. And I would go with gold on this. I mean, this type of black and stuff, the gold works much better than, and you can use even shimmering eye makeup. And just grab a little bit on your finger. I had to take off my glasses. And just go in this area. I'm trying to see if my camera is going to focus. Because you can, if you look against the light, you'll see where your raised areas are. And apply it only on the raised areas from the stamp. And nowhere else. And again, it doesn't really matter what stamp you have as long as it is a negative. One that would leave raised areas, not indented areas. That's the whole thing that you need. And this is a thing that works marvelously with the Stroppel cane because of the Stroppel cane made with the black sheet wrapping, because of the contrast between black and gold. That's why I said it works much better with gold than with the silver. Of course, you can use colored mica, but I always found that the gold gives it a more classy, if you want. And it makes it look, at the same time, it's hard to describe it. If it's a little bit tribal, a little bit organic, a little bit metallic-y, it's very hard to describe the whole thing. So this is pretty much how you would go. Let me clean my hands a little bit. And this is pretty much how you would go. I'm going to try and make my camera focus on it so you can see better. No, because I'm not going to hold this alive until it's fully done and fully. I will show it finished on Facebook later, maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow. But let me explain how to finish it further. After you bake it, you take some gold clay, preferably. If you don't, you can use practically whatever, because you can use the mica powder. And then, of course, you place some bake and bond on the back. You place the gold, and then see how there's this little lip left here. You bring it over and you gently feather it to blend it perfectly. And after that, you get some more of this mica and you go on the edge, just on the edge. And of course, you can put some texture on the gold on the back, but complete it with mica on the edge. Now you can do the same thing, because Jill still has like a teardrop left and then two little pieces on the side. And I said I was going to show you how to deal with those. Now, with the teardrop, you can do a pendant for this, obviously. Let's cut a thicker piece of this. And then simply flatten it a little bit. Not to the point of flattening it through the pasta machine. Just to the point of obtaining a wider surface. Let me see if this doesn't actually work on it. It does work directly on the. And I would pretty much leave it the way it is. I wouldn't trim it in any way. But let's do the same thing again. And I'm going to give it just a notch. Just a second, because it has some armor roll on it. I cannot put mica on it if it has armor roll. Oh yeah, and I'll show you one more thing on the cup in a second here. There's one more thing I need to show you. Okay, so we have another area with a little bit of raised surfaces. And we'll do the exact same thing. Just on the raised. Okay, because I don't want mica in any other place. Okay, can you see it? So at this point, yeah, if you want, you can. I would leave these edges the way they are and just, you know, bake it like this and make a, put like a pinch bail here or something. And you can do a little bit of mica if you want on this side, but I would just leave it like this. And the other thing that I wanted to show you on the cuff, there are some little cheapo stuff that you can get at Hobby Lobby and Michael's that is grommets for leather. Grab them. And those are absolutely fabulous to do the fastenings for cuffs. See these that normally are used for, but you'll only use this to make the cut itself, and then the small ones you can leave these ones if you make a very thick cuff, but use these ones after you make the cuts. So watch this. So I have this, right? I'm going to select where I want my thing to be. Let's say here. And then I'll lift the middle. And there we go. And you can lift this one in here if you want, as it's a little bit thicker, or you can remove it and put one of the thinner ones there. Just don't ever forget to lift the middle, because if it bakes in there, it's a pain to take out. And there we go. This is what I wanted to show you for cuffs. It's really handy dandy. Come on, camera. Okay. It's a very neat and nice end. And now let's do the earrings. Because what Jill has, she has two smaller pieces of earrings. Two smaller pieces that would be earrings. And we can do the exact same thing. We are going to cut a little bit thicker slices, go longer. And then slightly taper on one end. I usually just put a chain through it that would be pretty much like doubled, and then I put a jump ring here with the lobster clasp. So I put directly a chain through this. Yes, and the grommet protects the clay from wearing. So you don't need you don't put a ring here. You just put let me see if I have one already done like that. Show you. One that's not fully finished, but you can get the idea. See? Olga, honestly, Tiny Pandora has an Excel on the easy cuffs. She has a wider one. I would use a jar. The way that you can do it is what I do when because I don't have the wider ones either, but what I do is right after I bake it, when it's still very soft and it can be bent, I gently pull it apart, and then I stuff some paper towels in there to hold it wider, and leave it in the sink until it cools off, because once you leave it in the sink, you just leave more here. That's the whole deal. See, I'll show you the difference between this one and the wider one, because I only have the thin one as well. See, these are made on the same easy cuff, one for a thinner wrist, one for a thicker wrist. But see how the distance here is much wider. So once after you bake the front, before putting on after you take it away off the form, after you do the backing on it, when you take it out of the oven, it's going to be soft. So you just, yeah, see, this one is the same, done. This one is actually finished. And I showed, if you look at the tutorial for this one, I showed how I made this. Yeah, that's why I use either this or I use those spoon bales. But I always prefer to do the chain with the double coil jump ring because it's much sturdier that way. Okay, so let's finish the earrings. So we have two pieces that are slightly tapered on one end. And of course we do the same. Just one little notch. And try to now remember that this year there's a lot of asymmetrical earrings in fashion. Yeah, and also you can use a jar that's a little bit, if you want to go jar, you can use a jar that's a little bit wider than the regular soda can width. Now, you don't want it too tapered at the end because you don't want it to be all bendy and squishy. So make sure that they are pretty much the same. length. And yeah, you were asking if I put the holes before baking or after. Most of the time it's after I drill holes, especially since I got that little mother hand drill that is so absolutely fabulous. So I'm going to do them similar. And again, just add a little bit of just a touch. Now remember, if you do this, you will have to varnish. You'll have to glaze. You'll have to protect this mica powder somehow. Or you can use this thing that I just got, but I told you it's like $9 something, but you can use it for a ton. And after you bake it, it's a metallic gilding polish. So it's absolutely fabulous. I showed you in the live on Sunday how beautiful and metallic it looks. I mean, you'd swear it's metal. This one is enchanted gold. And it looks exactly like metal. On there, what? Yes, and actually, Trish at PolyClay Play, she has those bead supports. Hold on, let me see where I put them because I think that I got them. No, these are bigger. But yeah, if you go in the leather section, you can find different sizes of grommets. Thank you. But yeah, pretty much this is how you do it. And I'm going to bake these and then I'll show it on the Facebook page, how it looks like when it's fully done, and probably do something with the full finishing and putting together the same as I did for the earrings for the live before. But yeah, this is it. This was made special to help a beginner. I will probably do that in the future too, not very often, but as I said, today I didn't have any kind of plans. I was just going to maybe do something for fun because I was just recovering after my doctor visit. So I hope you enjoyed it. And I guess I'll see you Sunday. And thank you, Deborah. Have a wonderful evening. Good night. Oh, yeah, and don't forget to look at the Facebook page tomorrow, probably, where I post all this. Good night.